my god, what we see happening here is a literally undeniable proof that the boy in white and the man in yellow have always been the exact same being.
Anything else you can tell me about little boy?
I don't think he really was a little boy.
Everything that we see right here is just confirmation of what we already knew, that we are being played in so many different ways by the entity in control of the monsters that it's literally impossible for us as human beings to comprehend the severity of the manipulation that we are looking at right now. Because what I want you to notice here is how the man in yellow literally says, "Wake up," and then the priest woke up. It's almost like the man in yellow is a telepathic being, just like the boy in white who we literally saw talking to Sarah without opening his mouth, which makes sense because they've always been one and the same. Because it would be very easy for a telepathic being to put someone to sleep and then wake them up, as such a being would literally have control over your brain. Like Sarah literally said that he isn't actually a little boy, and we've literally seen in this very same episode that he's either a grown man or a literal demon that shapeshifts into specific forms so that he can deceive the people of the town into completing the quest. And we know for a fact that the entity in control is also the same being who is writing this story, because he literally says that this story is his own. Like, listen to the words coming from his own mouth.
It's important you understand that you played a very special role in a very important story.
What we are seeing here from the man in yellow is huge, absolutely massive for us to truly understand what's really going on in this town and the insane level of manipulation that we are actually experiencing. Because what he says here while disguised as Sophia literally changes everything that we thought we knew. First of all, it was obviously him who brought the pastor into the town in the first place, because he had already buried the suitcase with the clothes that he wanted to wear as Sophia before the pastor arrived. So basically what this means is that it's the entity who's in control of the monsters that decides who comes into the town and who goes out. And therefore, it directly follows that he is also the one who determines the role that someone is going to play in the game. So what this really means is that Tabitha's exit to Camden, Maine and arrival back into the town is something that was planned by him, the being that is writing this story, the entity in control of the monsters, which is something that we already know for a fact, because the Nightwalkers had already set up a trap for the ambulance that was bringing Tabitha back to the town before she arrived, which means that no one is being magically pulled into the town because they are supposedly a reincarnation. No. It was always him, the entity that is bringing people into the town. And he brings them in, obviously, so that he can feed off of them. But all of this is barely even scratching the surface on the insane amount of scenes in this episode, proving that the level of manipulation happening to the people of this town is far worse than anything we could have ever imagined. Like, you really need to pay attention to what I'm about to show you, because this is insane.
As I saw them, it promised them that they would live forever. They sacrificed their children.
They wanted me to watch.
Now, this scene is absolutely crucial for us to truly be able to comprehend the absolutely insane levels of manipulation that the people of this town are being put through by the entity in control of the monsters. Because we know for a fact that the Nightwalkers can see in the dark because of how they live down in those tunnels. And do you know what that means? It means that these lanterns that we see in Smiley's rebirth were placed there by the entity himself, specifically so that Boyd would be able to clearly witness the resurrection of the demon known as Smiley unobstructed. Basically, what I'm saying here is that the entity specifically organized all of the events that led up to this moment in such a way that it guaranteed that it would be Boyd specifically who went down into those tunnels to see Smiley being reborn, because Boyd himself was the one that killed Smiley. It's obviously not a coincidence that the kimono demon just happened to leave the trap door open that Boyd himself also just happens to use in order to see Smiley's rebirth. All of this, every little aspect of the game has been planned, tweaked, and engineered by the entity in control of the monsters to achieve a very specific outcome from the people of this town, and especially from Boyd.
There is no way to fight back against those things. Every sacrifice we made, there is no way to win. Game's rigged.
Now, what we see here in this episode is very important for us to truly understand the completely absurd level of manipulation that the people of this town are experiencing from the entity in control of the monsters. Because what I really want you to notice here is how the writers kept emphasizing over and over and over throughout this entire episode that Boyd has completely lost all hope that he could ever win against the monsters and this place. And do you know what that means? It means that Boyd is almost ready to be convinced by the entity into trading someone or some people to the demons so that Boyd himself can get something in return. In other words, Boyd is almost ready and is practically begging to be asked to commit child sacrifice for immortality. Even in this very same episode, we saw him repeatedly asking Fatima, who or what did the Nightwalkers make that deal with for immortality? And the reason he kept asking her that question is because he himself wants to make a deal. And the writers, they are not being subtle about any of this in any way. They literally put it in your face. That's why he kept asking, who did they make a deal with? Like, people don't even realize, even to this day, that it was the kimono demon herself that implanted the information about the child sacrifices into Fatima's brain so that the people of the town, and Boyd obviously, would know that it was an option. And if you do not believe that Boyd is actually capable of committing child sacrifice, oh man, you have not been paying attention, because just watch what I'm about to show you and you will see for yourself exactly what type of man the entity has been transforming Boyd into.
Kill the animals to feed the town. Can't you find another way?
Those animals down there, they're going to keep everybody alive till we figure all this out. They're going to save us. They're going to be heroes.
I keep going back to this scene because it is huge for us to be able to understand the type of person that Boyd is actually becoming directly because of the situations that the entity repeatedly puts him through. Like, people cannot see it, even though it's literally right in their face. Like, I want you to think about this. What did people say when we were saying that Sophia, the pastor's daughter, was actually the man in yellow in disguise? People said it's too obvious based off of the trailers, so it was clearly a misdirection. And look what happened. He literally is the man in yellow. And we've also been saying for literally years at this point that they wouldn't put that line of Sarah specifically saying that he isn't a boy if he wasn't either a grown man or a demon. People said the same thing even back then. That is so obvious. No. And look what happened. And it's the same thing with Boyd. He is being turned into the type of person that would sacrifice a child for immortality. That's why he's overlaid over the man in yellow himself in the poster for season 4. We already know what Boyd is becoming. They're not hiding it. We know. And if it is ever revealed that there is something above the man in yellow and that he was human at one point, then we'll know for a fact that Boyd is literally playing the exact same role that the man in yellow also used to play before he himself made a deal to become what he is today. Because what we see going on with Boyd in this episode is just one of many clues showing us how badly we are being played by the entity in control of the monsters.
That boy, the one dressed in white, you're saying that he lured you up to the top of a lighthouse and then pushed you out?
No. He didn't lure me. I just went there because of the children.
Children locked in the tower.
Now, this scene right here is very important for us to be able to really understand what's really going on in this town, because it directly ties into what we see in Season 4, Episode 1. Because there's something right here which I think is a massive clue showing us that there is a direct connection to the being that is Victor's dad and to the man in yellow. And that is that when Tabitha approached Victor's dad's house for the very first time, he claims that she passed out on his porch, and instead of calling an ambulance or, I don't know, telling people about it, he instead dragged the body of this seemingly homeless woman into his house so that she can sleep on the couch. It's completely ridiculous, but why this scene stands out so much to me is that we were literally given conclusive proof in Season 4, Episode 1 that the entities in the town have the ability to put people to sleep. Like, the yellow man literally said, "Wake up," to the pastor, and guess what? He woke up. So it's very obvious that Victor's dad was doing the same thing to Tabitha every time that he claims she fell unconscious when she was in what is supposedly Camden, Maine. And this brings me to something else that is really important for us to even be able to understand a fraction of the manipulation being experienced by the people of this town.
All of us. Once the baby is born, we all get to go home. The sooner you eat, the stronger the baby will be, and before you know it, we'll be going home.
Now, we know for a fact, conclusively, that the kimono demon was never trying to help. Like, he specifically told Elgin that Fatima's demonic baby, who is the same Smiley that we see in this episode taunting Boyd and Kenny, was going to help us go back home. Obviously, that's not going to happen. So, as you would expect from a demon, the kimono is obviously a liar, as expected. And this is something that people, for some reason, they struggle to comprehend. I don't know why. But all of them are working against us. None of these demons are trying to help. I don't know why people struggle with this concept so much. All of them are manipulating us to achieve their own personal goals. Like, we literally saw the kimono demon lifting up the root cellar door with her mind, which is literal proof that telekinesis is an ability that exists in the From universe, which means it obviously was not the ghost of Jim Matthews that was throwing things around in the kitchen of that house. We already know this. All of what we're talking about here are things that we know. All of them are liars, and they're trying to deceive us. There's literally nothing we saw in this episode that we didn't already know. We know that there are moles in the town. We know that the entity in control of the monsters has people in this town who are working for him. So what the man in yellow did is not a surprise. We already know this. Like, in this same episode, Boyd specifically says that he also saw the kimono demon, just like Fatima and just like Elgin, and this is proof of something that we've always known. All of these entities are not only storywalkers, but they also have the ability to choose who can see them and even if or when you can see them, which means that the Ankui children intentionally chose not to appear to J. Matthew so that he would feel isolated and alone, which was obviously done to set him up to get taken out by the man in yellow. And so what I'm saying here is that Acosta has many behaviors which I personally consider to be very questionable. So go watch this video right here to see my thoughts on why Acosta tends to act like a psychopath.